the night was quiet, too quiet, until a revelation shattered it, a revelation that no one in the world of K-pop saw coming. It came not from the endless swirl of speculation, not from nameless insiders or unverified sources, but from Taehyung himself. And what he said, what he chose to reveal, carried the weight of thunder. The fandom fell silent, only to erupt seconds later in disbelief, in shock, in heartbreak. Why, fans asked, did JungKook suddenly abandon his whirlwind schedule in the United States, where every appearance, every performance, had been charted with precision? Why did he step away from that glittering spotlight without a word, only to board a plane back to Korea? And why, this is the question that haunts ARMY most, did Taehyung feel compelled to speak, when silence has always been his shield? From that moment, nothing felt ordinary anymore. JungKook's presence in the US wasn't casual. It was calculated, carefully mapped by his team and the machine behind him. High-profile appearances, collaborations, projects that were meant to define his future as a solo artist, it was all there. Fans could practically see the outlines of history being written. And then, just as those moments approached, the headlines broke. JungKook had boarded a flight to Korea. Abrupt. Unexplained. Even those closest to the industry admitted they hadn't seen it coming. Artists reschedule all the time. Plans shift. But this? This was different. The abruptness made it impossible to ignore. It wasn't a quiet adjustment, it was a retreat. And then came Taehyung. For years, Taehyung has been known as a man who chooses silence over noise when it comes to personal matters. But this time, he couldn't stay silent. His words, spoken carefully yet with visible struggle, cut through the speculation like a blade. He made it clear, JungKook's return wasn't simply exhaustion or preference. There was more. Pressures. Circumstances. Shadows that seemed to stretch all the way back to HYBE. The moment he said it, the air changed. Suddenly, every whisper in the fandom carried the company's name. Suddenly, every theory pointed in one direction. Could it be that the empire that had lifted BTS to the world stage was also the force pulling one of its brightest stars back home? Taehyung's tone was measured, but the cracks showed. Fans replayed the clip endlessly, searching his eyes, hearing the tremor in his voice. This wasn't performance. This was pain, the pain of watching a brother, a friend, endure a weight too heavy to bear. And ARMY felt it. They felt it because they've always known, when one member hurts, the others feel it too. Taehyung's words weren't just commentary. They were a cry for attention. A plea. Why risk the storm unless the truth demanded light? The fandom went into overdrive. Social media exploded. Threads dissected every word, every inflection, every pause. JungKook's behavior in recent weeks was pulled into focus. His quieter demeanor during interviews, his shorter appearances, his sudden silences, all of it was reinterpreted. Had it been signs all along? A decision brewing beneath the surface? Forces pulling him in directions he couldn't fully control? And at the heart of every theory, HYBE. HYBE has always been both a champion and a target. Praised for building BTS into the juggernaut it is, criticized for decisions that fans believe pushed the members too far. Now, with JungKook's sudden return, questions flared. Was his schedule in the US too much? Was this flight to Korea an act of rebellion, or an order? The timing didn't help. His return coincided with pivotal business moves within HYBE. Strategic? Coincidental? Fans and analysts alike wondered, was JungKook being used as a piece in a larger game? And if so, what role did Taehyung play by speaking now? The fandom spiraled. Some cried, some defended, others clung to fragments of hope. Streams filled with messages of support, while timelines erupted with fear. The bond between Taehyung and JungkooK became the center of everything. Their friendship, long celebrated, now stood as both shield and weapon. Taehyung had chosen to break the silence, to speak even when he knew the storm it would unleash. Fans saw his words as both a comfort, proof that JungkooK wasn't alone, and a warning that the situation was far more fragile than they wanted to believe. Yet for all the noise, nothing is resolved. Taehyung didn't deliver answers, only fragments. He opened the door, but didn't lead anyone through. And that makes it worse. Why JungkooK? Why now? Why HYBE? Every question leads to another, and every theory feels both convincing and incomplete. Fans feel as though they are staring into a story still unfolding, one whose ending could reshape how they see not only JungkooK, but BTS itself. But then comes the sobering truth, the one that doesn't travel as quickly as sensational headlines, but that matters all the same. Taehyung's words, for all their emotional weight, were not an exposé. They were not an attack on HYBE. They were concern, honest, heartfelt concern for a friend. The leap from concern to corporate conspiracy was made not by him, but by the echo chamber of social media. Fragments twisted into narratives. Ambiguities sharpened into accusations. JungKook's sudden return may have been abrupt, yes. But abruptness doesn't equal scandal. What's dangerous is how quickly the line between speculation and certainty blurred. Headlines screamed of exposure, fans whispered of betrayal, and the truth was buried beneath the noise. The fact remains, no credible source has confirmed HYB's hand in JungKook's return. No one has proven that he was forced, or that Taehyung's words were a deliberate revelation. The narrative of HYB versus JungKook is a story born not of fact, but of emotion. And in chasing that story, fans risk something precious, the dignity of the very artists they want to protect. JungKook is not powerless. He is not a pawn. He has always shown independence, always charted his own path, even under pressure. To paint him solely as a victim strips away his agency, his voice. And Taehyung? His words were not meant to fuel speculation. They were meant as support, as a reminder that behind the stage lights and corporate strategies, there are bonds that matter more. The truth is quieter, less glamorous, but more real. In the end, the story that shook social media was not a revelation, but a distortion. It was a reflection of how quickly fear and love can twist into rumor. JungKook did return abruptly. Taehyung did speak with emotion. But HYB was not unmasked as a villain. No grand conspiracy was revealed. What remains is the reality of two men, one facing a difficult decision, the other standing by his side. The lesson is clear, ARMY's love is powerful, but with that power comes responsibility. To listen carefully. To discern. To protect without projecting. Because not every silence hides a scandal. And not every word is a revelation. Sometimes, it is simply what it seems, a moment of humanity in the lives of those who carry the weight of global fame. And that, in itself, is enough.